physical, but upon the spiritual. Praying about spiritual needs. Why? Because we must not neglect the outer person is important.
Hi everybody, this is WTNT. It's the 16th of November 2011. This is 102.9. And it gets close to the computer here. It gets a lot of interference, but if you get it away from the computer, it comes in pretty good. 102.9. This is a low-power relay for the Liberty University's radio station down there in Lynchburg. It's a relay from Fairfax, Virginia on 102.9 with, I don't know, 13 watts. Licensed to Chantilly. 102.9. And it's going to start relaying the WTNT signal, Radio Talker WTNT out of Mount Vernon there, starting December 1st is what we're hearing. So we'll be getting another talker, at least for Fairfax County, on FM there, along with WMAL. So that's interesting. Some low-power signals I can get here in my location in Reston, Virginia. If you go to if you go to 1055. That's that low-power signal from WAMU. I think it's about 200 watts for the bluegrass country there, which is now based out of, where is that? Bethesda. I'm not a huge fan of that. And sometimes I can get, 93.5. Can't get it on this. I can get it on the car radio. Sometimes I get a relay of 93.5. So let's see. So then if we click in 1077 execute, we get WTOP, right? And then if we click in right next door to it, 1079 execute. That's family station, family radio there, WFSI out of Annapolis. Now we've reported a lot that WFSI is going to get bought by CBS and possibly get turned into an all-newser. So we've got a really, really interesting rumbling on the website today that, well, that's kind of nice music. That kind of reminds me of going to church. But that's the problem. You got 1079. Then if you turn the radio, even still on 1079, you get bleed over from 1077 WTOP. See that? I'm not even changing the channel there. So that's the problem in Northern Virginia. So that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking that CBS probably won't be using 1079 for the all-news station if they start one, or News Talker. They'll use 99.1 or 94.7 and put something else on 1079 like El Zal. That's what we're thinking. But anyhow, the big rumor today that we're hearing is Phil Boyce. Phil Boyce is the programming head for TRN, Talk Radio Network. Talk Radio Network produces Laura Ingraham Show. They do that America's Morning News Show. They do that America's News Network out of studios in the Washington area. And the rumor du jour is that Phil's going to go to CBS and maybe work on starting up that new CBS News Talker here in Washington, whether it's going to be on 1079 or probably 99.1 or maybe 94.7. That's the big rumor. Phil Boyce, as you may or may not know, before he was with TRN, spent like a decade plus over at WABC Radio in New York City, which is a big news talker in Big 77, which used to be a big top 40 station. Then where did they flip in the 80s, early 80s, somewhere like that? Flipped to News and Talk, and they're a top station in New York. But so the big rumor du jour, Phil Boyce might be going to CBS here in D.C. A lot of rumors since Steve Swenson. See my hands. Steve Swenson came down from New York earlier this year to be to play Sam Rogers as the head of the DC radio cluster that CBS has over in Lanham. And so anyhow, lots of rumblings that Phil Boyce may be joining Steve here in Washington or Lanham to start that news talker. So we shall see. Check it out. More on DCRTV.com. One of the things here's what goes behind all the thinking, okay? A huge amount of money. The Washington market is different than a lot of other radio markets because we have the federal government here. Okay, and there's a lot of big advertisers that want to reach federal government people. You know, people that work in Capitol Hill and all the various committees and pull the purse strings for the Defense Department and all the other departments, and they live all over the Washington area. Okay, they live in Rockville and Fairfax, and they live right down the street from me here in Reston. They live all over the place. Okay, they live in Arlington. They live in Washington. They live in Annandale, and these defense contractors will spend big bucks to reach just these small cadre of people. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why WTOP is doing so well billing-wise. WTOP billed advertising revenue over $50 million last year to be the #1 station in the country in terms of ad revenue billing. Now, Washington is like the 8th or 9th largest radio market. So WTOP did better than radio stations in New York and Chicago and LA and, you know, huge markets that are a lot bigger than Washington. Why? Because of these defense contractors and various advocacy groups. You know, you hear their ads all the time. Can't listen to WTOP for more than 2 or 3 minutes without hearing an ad from Grumman or Boeing or Northrop, whatever the hell it's called, or these various advocacy groups that want to, you know, back certain legislation. So, anyhow, they want, these groups, obviously, they put their ads, they want to be on news and talk on FM in Washington, and their prime candidate is WTOP, which made all that money. So now we look at, okay, WMAL is another big candidate for these stations. You know, their ad revenue wasn't anywhere near WTOP's last year. I think MAL made something like 14 or 12 million compared to WTOP's 50 million, 55 million. So by moving to 105.9, it gives WMAL a much better signal, so it can now go in for some of that WTOP's pie of these defense and advocacy groups. But, these guys that want to advertise on news and talk on FM, there's no newser in the Washington market that CBS runs, and there's no newser that Clear Channel runs. So, these both, other than, they have a sports talker here, CBS, WJFK, but all their other stations are music stations. And, these defense contractor people with all this money don't want to advertise so much on a sports talker. Oh, there are a few other ads on there, but that's not, they'd rather be on a news talker. So Clear Channel, of course, they have 5 FMers in the Washington market. They all get good ratings, but they're all music stations. Country MZQ, Alt Rocker DC 101, Classic Hits WBIG, Hot 99.5, and Wash. They're all music stations. So there's, so where does all this advocacy dollar, all this pile of money, and it's a huge pile of money, all goes to TOP, and maybe a little bit going over here to WMAL. So CBS, I bet you, they're saying, we want some of that pot of that money. So that means we got to flip one of our stations to a news talk format. An all-newser or some kind of news talk, and it's got to be on FM. So where are their signals? They can buy the 107.9, put it on there, but again, you run into WTOP interference on 107.7 in Northern Virginia, so that's not such a great signal for that. Maybe 99.1. Again, it's a nice dial position, but again, it's an outside the Beltway signal. Their transmitter's up in northeastern Prince George's County. The best signal would be 94.7. Which is Bethesda. But again, they would have to get rid of Fresh. Send Tommy McFly packing. Bye-bye, Tommy. Have a nice one. Of course, Clear Channel, they're not getting any of this money. I mean, they get a little bit of it, but these advertisers want to be on a talk station or a news station. So the rumor has always been, well, they're going to flip one of their 5 stations over to some kind of news talk format. And the most likely candidate has always been 100.3 W Big. But, I don't know. I'm hearing lots and lots of rumblings about CBS. Not a lot of rumblings lately about Clear Channel. So it looks like Clear Channel is going to be doing something. Sometime, I would wait, sometime early in the new year we'll be seeing something going on. And it looks increasingly likely that Phil Boyce will be involved in that. So we shall see. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm in Starbucks yesterday. You notice I'm just wearing my plain old t-shirt. I was in Starbucks yesterday, local Starbucks, and I was wearing one of my Marine shirts. And some guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, Dave, have you ever been in..." He didn't know my name. He just said, "Hey, you freak. Have you ever been in the Marines?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Why are you wearing a Marine shirt?" I said, "Well, I like the Marines. I like our armed services, and I'm proud to support them. And do I have to be in the Marines to support the Marine? To wear a Marine shirt?" He just kind of looks at me like, scratches his head, and So, you know, I didn't know there was a law that you had to be a former Marine or a Marine in order to wear a Marine shirt. But, you know, I just like wearing camo pants and camo hats. I like the military garb. It's just my style, man. So, you know, sometimes I go out and I'm wearing my, you know, I wear my Army shirt here. This is one of my, I got a number of Army shirts. I often wear these. And sometimes I go on out and I'm heading out and wearing my United States Navy shirt. Or, what else I got here? Oh, yeah. My Coast Guard shirt. I just like this stuff. It's just, you know, call me nutty, but I like to wear it, and I'm proud of our military. And, you know, I did not serve because I was born post-Vietnam, and there wasn't really, the years I was that age, you know, just wasn't a lot to do in the military those years, and I wasn't in the military. My dad served in the Army for a couple years. He got drafted back, same time Elvis got drafted back in, 56 or something. And Dad was in the Army, and he was at Fort Dix in New Jersey for a while. Then he got transferred, I think, up to Governor's Island near New York. That's when I was born, 1958. Oh, that makes me how old? Don't add it up. You don't want to know. Anyhow, so then Dad got transferred. They were going to send him to Korea. So they sent him out to Washington State, Fort Lewis out near Tacoma. And then he never moved past there because he didn't have enough time in his career to go to Korea in his stint. So he stayed there, and Mom and I came out when I was a baby and stayed with him for a couple months out there in Fort Lewis. I don't remember any of that because I was just a little infant at the time, but I'm told my dad was in the Army with Tim Conway. That was one of his Army buddies there at Fort Lewis. And Tim, of course, went on to great fame in the Carol Burnett Show and McHale's Navy and all that. And I am told that Tim gave me a bath when I was an infant. So there. I have the infamous privilege of being bathed as an infant by Mr. Tim Conway. So there. All right, folks. That's Big Dave TV for today. The 16th of November, 2011. Go Marines. Go Army. Go Coast Guard. Go Navy. Go National Guard. And, you know, it's funny that you get criticized for wearing a shirt to support our troops. But some old dude felt like doing that yesterday, so whatever. All right, thanks a lot. Have a good one. Cut and pray.